Good afternoon. I'm Karen Marsdale, and I am interim president at the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And with me today is member Chuck Holder.
Good
Chuck,
afternoon.
it's great to have you here with us today.
Yes.
And Chuck, you've got a really interesting and diverse background. And I know you best, I think, in the years that I've been with the chamber, and you've been involved most recently with something that's called Entrepreneurs Connection.
Yes.
And you know, that word entrepreneur is something that it's a buzzword. A lot of people talk about it. I often have shared with people getting a conversation started about whether you're an entrepreneur if you're a small business. If you're a small business, are you an entrepreneur? And clearly I find that one is not the other.
Not even close.
Good, thank you.
Yes, that is a very true statement.
So what do you do with Entrepreneurs Connection? And give us the idea of the model.
Well, it's actually very simple. One of the things that I realized from all my business experience, and as I say ad nauseum to people I come across, is the best business education I had was probably the 12 years I spent in the transportation industry. For 12 years, I either owned or co-owned 3 local limousine and airport transportation businesses, one of them which we had 20 cars, 40 to 50 drivers, so it was fairly substantial. But the reason I mention it was every day was an education.
Oh, I can believe that.
I always knew a lot of people in and around Reading, but now I was meeting regional business leaders, national business leaders, international business leaders, and it was fascinating because every day was a lesson.
Sure.
And took me 25 years to start to listen instead of talking, and it was fascinating. And one of the things I realized real quickly, that being a plumber in business are 2 very different jobs.
Absolutely.
Being a doctor in business are 2 very, very different jobs. And from all the experiences I've had with my businesses, and what I started to realize as I talked to all these wonderful people was the hardest thing to do in business is to be an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur with a thought or an idea, or one of these folks that see opportunity in everything, and to cross that bridge and become a legitimate business person.
Sure.
It's the hardest thing to do. You know, if you're a good painter, you know, and you work for somebody, you think, boy, my boss is making a lot of money on me, I can do this. Well, good luck, because it's not as easy as it seems. So when I had a transition in my business life a few years ago, I always had businesses where people would call me, and I didn't have to go find clients. Well, when I got into consulting, it was a whole different ballgame.
Yes.
Very, very different. And I just wasn't very good at it. And at that point, someone mentioned to me, you need to go to a referral group. And I didn't know they existed. I didn't know anything about them, and you know, I saw the value in it. And there's international groups, there's you know, national groups, regional groups, and literally there are groups of people that get together once a week to get to know one another, to refer one another's businesses. And I joined one of the local referral businesses, and from there they actually hired me and as an area director. So I had an opportunity to go out and open these chapters in the Lehigh Valley, the Allentown, Bethlehem area. And it was actually very interesting. I was getting to meet a lot of people, a lot of different people in business. The only thing I couldn't wrap my hands around was there was a huge time investment in it. And I never had to listen to somebody's 30-second infomercial for 6 months to know if I wanted to do business with them. And so if I meet somebody once or twice, I have a pretty good idea of whether I'm willing to do business with them or refer them to somebody. So I started to think, well, wait a minute, we're meeting every week. We don't have any outside speakers. I'm listening to the same infomercials, but there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of business experience in this room. Why are we not sharing all these other things in our business lives to help one another get better at who we are and what we do? And that's how Entrepreneurs Connection came about. Was the idea that we're a group, and we've been together for 10 years now.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And what the other thing about it is, as people come and go, as guests come in, the one thing that we probably hear 85% of the time is when the guest comes in or somebody leaves is, I've never seen a group like this.
Wow, there's got to be some synergy that's made different, probably through your leadership, of course, that makes it unique.
Well, it was initially my vision, but always being somebody, I'm a firm believer that no matter what you do, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
And so we had kind of a core group of 4 or 5 people. It took us a year to figure out who we were.
Sure,
Really.
and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we knew what the ultimate goal was, and that was to help one another get better at who we are and what we do. And quite honestly, in business, everything affects our business lives. The weather, the economy, our families, our kids, everything has an impact in one way, shape, or form. And so what we did was we decided we were going to share all the things that we had been through in business to see if we could help one another. So it is very unique. The best testimonial I can give you about Entrepreneurs Connection is because of the fact that there is a lot of trust in it, because you share your personal lives. There have been some meetings where people, some members have brought up very personal things in their life, which isn't an easy thing to do anywhere, let alone with the group you meet with once a week. We've had meetings where there was hardly a dry eye because people felt comfortable enough to say, this is what's happening in my life, help me.
Well, and that's really something that I think has become more and more, maybe the word popular isn't the right word, but it is, valuable maybe is a better word, within businesses and in various settings, is this idea of a close group of kind of peer discussion on a level that you begin to trust and share. We do that on a couple of different levels at the Chamber with what we do in our Family Business Alliance with the peer discussion groups, and those all are very, very confidential, and also with our lean-in circles for women. And I think that is because you're unleashing power, you're unleashing the permission to be real and to be honest, and then that makes you, I think, open for more and for better. And that's really, rather than just kind of being this data dump of someone just talking to you, you're sharing with.
Yeah, I like what you just said about being open and honest, because that's one thing we kind of demand in Entrepreneurs Connection. When I was in referral groups, it was interesting because every once in a while somebody would do a presentation, and inevitably when that person walked out of the room, somebody would say, well, that was stupid. Well, if you think it's stupid, tell them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not everything's great. Maybe your point of view of what you're thinking about could help that person. Do not be
absolutely.
We absolutely demand that we're honest with one another.
Right.
And if you're not able, if that upsets you shouldn't be in business.
Right.
Because it's just open, honest, and you have the right to say, well, let me think about that. Yes, it makes sense. No, it doesn't. But at least you've known about it.
Right.
You're aware of it. You made You've thought about it, you've made a decision on whether you need to make a change or not.
And just the fact that you've been together for 10 years, and I know that maybe people have come and gone, but if you're seeing folks stay the course for that length of time, we all know what the statistics are on businesses that start, and I think it's out of every 5, 3 fail.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that that's in year 1, year 2, and there's lots of data around. But the reality is, it is not easy.
No.
And when you go into business, you're obviously putting everything, your heart, your soul. Oftentimes, you're as one manufacturer who's growing and growing in this area said, in the beginning, I put my house, my dog, my wife, everything was on the line.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
That's why entrepreneurs are who they are.
Yes.
And if you can find a group, a cohesive group to help you sort through some of those things, honesty, and be willing to take that and have a spirit of being teachable, I think that's phenomenal. Yeah. I know our time is now waning, but for those of you who are listening or interested, Chuck Holder. It's an easy name to remember. I think you can Google Entrepreneurs Connection and maybe get connected, because
please.
I think that this is good. It's good and healthy for all businesses to be thinking, particularly small businesses, that there are peers out there that you can connect with, because you don't need to go it alone.
No, and no one can.
No,
I mean, in my lifetime, I have literally met thousands of business owners. And the number of people that got into the right business at the right time and actually made it on their own are few and far between. and more often they were in the right place and in the right place at the right time, and it wasn't because of their business savvy. 'Cause
Right.
most of those folks have gone on and tried other things that didn't work.
Right, exactly.
You're only as good as the people you surround
Yes,
yourself with.
absolutely. That's good. That's good philosophy and,
Yes.
and a wise statement. Well, Chuck, thanks for being
Oh,
with
it's
us.
my pleasure.
And thank you so much again
Yes.
for being a chamber member. We couldn't do this without you.
We like being there.
That's great.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.